So she just went and tucked herself in?
Yeah, I was in my room the whole time.
Hello my darlings, welcome to a new mood reading vlog. So I am just going to pick the jar and tarot prompts for this upcoming mood reading vlog. Let's get straight into it. So we'll start with the jar. Got one. And let's see what we get. 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, and I saw this on Carrie Can Read. I know I've just said I don't want to read any more romance. I'll make an exception, trying another author, because I think this is not a typical contemporary romance. I think it's a bit more on the litfic drama heavier side. But I've just heard so many people rave about this book that my curiosity has gotten the better of me. So I do want to see if it's good. So 7 Days in June, and the tarot deck I'm using today is the Guided Hand Tarot. So let's see what we get, what prompt. Ooh. We have the 9 of Pentacles, and the 9 of Pentacles is my favorite colors. On here, that was orange and purple. Orange and purple. Let's see if there are any books on my TBR that are orange and purple. Okay, we have one that is both. The Dream Hotel by Leila Lalami. I'm just going with that because it's hit orange and purple. So that will be the prompt. So those are the 2 books that I will be reading in this reading vlog. Hello, my darlings. I have read. So I did start The Dream Hotel by Leila Lalami, and this is a dystopian set in the very possible future in a surveillance state with government overreach. Basically, people have scores instead of social credit scores. They are risk scores, and they determine your risk of committing a crime. Unfortunately for our main character, her cousin was just sentenced to prison, which skyrocketed her score into the danger zone because you are guilty by association in here. Not only that, her dreams are monitored, and she had a dream where she was angry at her husband. Naughty, naughty. So they capture her at the airport when she's returning back to her husband and their twin infant children, and put her in a centre to make sure she doesn't end up committing any crimes. And at first they tell her she's there for 3 weeks. There is no due processing. She's just put straight in there and told it'll be at least 3 weeks. That 3 weeks stretches out indefinitely almost. It just her sentence keeps getting compounded because there are guards in this facility who are very power happy and love to issue out extensions for infractions like having a non-compliant hairstyle or loitering in the lobby. So despite her best efforts to literally do nothing and always comply, her sentence is extended and extended and extended. And look, having governments like this is a very real fear of mine. I had a taste of it during the lockdowns in Melbourne, where we spent, I think, almost 300 days in lockdown, which included curfews of 8 p.m. You cannot leave your house after 8. We could not leave beyond a 5-kilometre perimeter from our house. We were not allowed to work at all. We were not allowed to talk to anybody, even if our mother lived next door. No, must not have contact. And we were not allowed to protest for our rights. So it was a time. It was terrifying. A lot of people became homeless, killed themselves, or died directly because of the almost martial-like laws that were immediately enforced upon us. So I always worry about the future, and this book was giving me so much anxiety because she literally had done nothing wrong. She did nothing wrong, and no matter what she did, they were always against her, and therefore she could not win. Just wanted to get back to her husband and her infant children, and they didn't care. They didn't care. And that's also a lot what happened during that time when people were appealing for things like, can I be with my dying child? No. I always thank my lucky stars that my children did not have to go to hospital and that they were not dying, because to rob people of the ability to be with their loved ones in the last moments of their life, when doctors and all that were allowed to be there, I can't get into it. The humanity went out the window. And no, I believe it was too much. Considering other places were not doing. There were other states in Australia that did not have those laws. Each state just did their own thing, and I heavily tried to leave and move somewhere else. But because of that, yeah, this book was giving me anxiety and making me feel ill and claustrophobic. I couldn't do it. I couldn't put my body under any more stress. So it's not for me. Maybe if you don't have any sort of issues reading stories like this, you could get through it, but it was just so bleak and depressing and oppressive. I couldn't push through. But yeah, read it if you love anything to do with like 1984, V for Vendetta, Minority Report, then this would be up your alley. I then picked up, after this, to try and settle my nervous system, I thought, let's go for a middle grade graphic novel. So I picked up Beetle the Hollowbones by Alyssa Lane. Let me see if I can open my blinds because it's way too dark. So in this story, you have a main character and she's a goblin and she's learning from her granny goblin how to practice magic and be a witch. And one day while she's at the shopping mall, she meets and befriends a slimy mall ghost who seems to be trapped within the confines of the mall. So she decides to set about to free them from their imprisonment there. And while she's doing that, a former childhood best friend returns to town and some things. Oh my God, my legs are dying. Oh, the pins and needles. Oh, it's such an unpleasant feeling. Oh, now I feel really little. Yeah, I feel really little because I've shrunk on the camera screen. Hey? So I will begin by saying in this book, I don't think that it is middle grade. Even though the main character is 12, her and her friend read much older. I would say 15, because there is also a sapphic, former friends to lovers, in this, in which they do actually kiss on page. You're so pretty. You're so pretty. You're so pretty. And I love you. You're such a cutie. And I love you. So yeah, it definitely felt much older. I would say this is YA, not middle grade. The illustrations in this were breathtaking. It was cozy Halloween. Purples and oranges melded beautifully. It was a feast for the eyes. I absolutely adored the color story in this book. Overall, it was a lot about childhood innocence, coming of age, and standing up for yourself and others. So it was a good story. But yeah, the whole 12 years old middle grade thing really threw me off because it just wasn't that. Obviously, the mute slime mall ghosty is a standout cutie. So read it if you like mall ghosts, lucky pennies, and heartstrings. It did do its job though. It did perk me up and settle my nervous system. So yay for that. I've got your hair on my mouth right now. Did you know that? I'm definitely going to end up accidentally eating that later. So I still have to get 7 Days in June by Tia Williams from my library. We'll see if I can get the ebook or the physical book in first, whichever comes in first. I am also going to start Dyscalculia by Kamoni Felix. I'm sorry, that is not probably how you pronounce it. And this is a memoir about a woman with dyscalculia. It's the cover that got me. Okay, I saw the cover of this and I'm like, I don't even care what it's about. I want to try it out. So I shall be. Besides that, I have gotten my little, test results back, and it wasn't good news. It was pretty much the news I was expecting. Levels were slightly worse than I was expecting. The GP did give me their suggested treatment plan, but because some of the treatments involved are invasive and risky, I do want to get a second opinion from my private integrative medicine doctor first. So I'm going to see her, and if she backs the same GP treatments, then I'll go ahead. Or if she's got some other alternative treatment to try first, I'll do that. But in the meantime, I'm just trying to put it out of my head and just enjoy myself and be like, you can start worrying about it again once you've seen your other doctor and they've given you their opinion. So yeah, at least that's done and behind me, and there will be, steps in the future for me to follow and take. So today, I'm going out with my daughter and her friends to the city, which you'll see in the short books vlog. So you'll see me again once I've read another book for this mood reading vlog. Hello guys, I am back. So I was reading 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. What I loved about this is that the main character, that's the cats, is a single mum in her late 30s who is a writer with chronic illness. So I love the chronic illness rep. I think the writing style is great. She ends up going to a writer's event where one of the other authors is a former lover, it seems, from her past. And it seems that both her and him have been writing about each other in their literature. She is a What it sounds like to me is basically erotica Twilight style. So she's been casting him as the main love interest, and he's been casting her in his more drama litfic kind of novels. And they ended up reuniting at the event, and he's interested in reconciling. He's in AA, and she's not having a bar of it. Through that, we're getting glimpses to her childhood with her mother, who was, let's just say, not doing the best, and putting her in a lot of dangerous situations, forcing her to grow up quickly. The killer line in this was when she was talking about why she divorced her ex-husband, and it was when he said to her, "I wanted a wife, not a patient." And I've had both of my past two lovers say something very similar as a person who also has chronic illness. So yeah, that one hit very close to home. I can see why people love this. I'm just really not in the mood for romance. I can see that that's what it is. I don't think I'd be doing it. I think I'd be doing it a disservice by continuing on. I think it's probably good. This could be something I come back to in the future. So this is actually probably the first time I'm probably soft DNFing, and I might keep it on my TBR just in case. I do feel like, once again, trying a different contemporary romance. But at this point in time, I just don't care. Like, the opening scene was fantastic. She was basically using a vibrator to get herself off, and then she almost choked on her gum because the vibration settings on this were just jackhammer high, and it caused the gum to dislodge into her throat. So I thought that was hilarious, but also not hilarious at the same time. So yeah, I think this is a good contemporary romance from what I've read. I've read 100 pages, but I'm just not feeling it. I'm not in the mood, and this is a mood reading vlog. So that one is a soft DNF. So I'm going to go on to Dyscalculia next. Okay, so I have read some things. I have read Dyscalculia by Kimon Felix. So this is a memoir. It has a very interesting writing style. I think it could be divisive. I personally loved it, and it improved my enjoyment of the story. They are structuring it sort of where they will have the personal accounting of something that happened in their life, followed by these kind of scientific, mathematical, historical facts, but it works really well. The book itself is structured in very non-linear recounting of her life. I do have to say, please, please, please check the trigger warnings. A lot of heavy things have happened to this author, and they do discuss them. I would say mostly about self-harm and essay of a child. So that is in here, but they write about it in a way that I don't feel is too heavy, despite the heaviness of it. It's done respectfully, lightly, and I would say they almost have a brevity to their writing. But yes, the parts about how she told the truth and she got punished for it as a child, yeah, it was tough. It was tough to get through. Like I said, I thought it was a really well done memoir. It was written in an interesting way, and I really sped through it. It was just so easy to consume despite the subject matter involved. Read it if you like Pythagoreans, Fiona Apple, and Cause and Effect. I should mention too, very heavily focuses on mental health. That's a big one. The next book I picked up after that, I wanted something lighter, and that would put me in a kicking my feet mood. So naturally I went to The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. This is a little novella, which is unfortunately Amazon exclusive, so I did have to read it on my phone. But this is about Charlotte, who has a stalker who is a former customer of hers and has had to move multiple times, and is scared of putting down roots lest she be found again, because the criminal justice system isn't really doing its job in keeping her safe. In the new apartment building, she has moved next door to a divorced arborist named Seth, who is currently in a moon boot and has a fish called Swim Shady. Both of them get stuck at home for a couple of days because the stairs to their apartments were accidentally removed. I still don't understand the physicality of that, but anyway, just the two of them are stranded at home in their respective apartments naturally, but with only each other for company. I will say that Charlotte's BFF Izzy is a bat out of hell with a baseball bat, and I loved her character. Lived for. As usual, Abby Jimenez perfectly blends the heavy with the humor. She does it so well. There was also a group in here, and they were a bunch of senior citizen bonsai bitches. And I very much want to join their gang so badly. Think the Golden Girls, but with green thumbs and dirtier mouths. As is to be expected, this was another 5-star read. Excuse me, my voice. I feel like at this point that Abby Jimenez is my soulmate, and we are the same person, because she just gets me. She speaks to me. I love the way she writes and the way she blends pop culture into all of her stories. She can do no wrong. She can do no wrong. At this point, I'm just expecting everything she writes to be 5 stars. And this was the case once again. And I feel like I'm matching really beautifully to her book today. So read this if you like emotional support bear spray, botanical sexism, and cookies. Loved it. It was such a fun time. I am heading out today. I'm doing my Venus vlog, which you would have seen probably before this. And I think I'm going to pick up Frieren 3 because I can just read that on my phone. And I'm also listening to Soldier Sailor. So Soldier Sailor is my choice for the Ben Reads Good Readathon thing. And the prompt was read a women's prize nomination. So Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy, which is a book documenting early motherhood, marriage, and personhood. That will be my audio choice. Those are the 2 books that are next on the lineup. I have read 2 more books. Bluebells come already. Blueblies. Pleased bubbles. Blue. I was sent this book. This is called Wild Children by Tom Bolton. This is a middle grade book. And this is about a little girl in a yellow dress called Agatha who carries her emotions into some fields because she is following the sound of drums. And she ends up meeting 2 children in animal masks. And they take her under the hill to the wild children, where she ends up donning her own mask and then quickly realizes that even though the mask masks her pain, her emotions, her feelings, her thoughts, she would rather feel something than nothing. So she ends up going on a quest to remove the mask and return home. The book itself reminds me a little bit of Alice in Wonderland and the Phantom Tollbooth. There is some sort of nonsense absurdity in it. It's a little fever dreamy, and it is pretty fast paced. There were some interesting choices done with formatting. Like for instance, they put the chapter heading, the number on the top of every page, but then they stopped doing that halfway through. So I'm not sure if this is a draft or if this is the finished product, but there are beautiful illustrations in it. Here is the Marmalade Man. But I would say read it if you like toy sailboats, time looping dandelions, and children who don't like change. I then picked up Middle Youth by Morgan Buck. This is a book of poetry. I'm just going to read a random poem. I'll try and find one that is short. I'll read Hoard. I cannot love you when the high street smells of meat and metal, of almost snow. I spend my time with eyes on a curvature never stepped to. Some northern blood still running warns of phone contracts, leases and term deposits. Loves ribs of curved wood and bodies of water, looks to crows in their high nests, made stark in the rampikes of this stripped land, cries promises to hoard change, and to hold it up like a compass as soon as the green appears. Personally, this collection didn't really do anything for me, but read it if you like lava, climate change, and traps. I also finished reading Frieren 3 by Kanehito Yamada, and in this one, Frieren is a bad bitch. The one particular line when she says, "Aura, go kill yourself," like, May Frieren, Jesus, it was bonkers. I'm just loving her character development. Seeing these other parts of her come out from that very reserved, stoic demeanor, like in this one, she was a psycho and I was digging it. There were lots of demon battle showdowns with magical scales and puppet armies. And after that, the group ends up getting snowed in at a cabin with a hot elf man. And I had to laugh because the other dude that they're traveling with, the mage, the Dragon Slayer guy, I forget his name. He said he goes to check out the cabin first, he goes to make sure it's safe. And he comes running back out. And Frieren's like, "What's the problem?" And he said, "There's some kind of pervert in there." Because he was like shirtless and exercising. Oh my God, it was pretty funny. But yes, they end up adding another member to their team, not the hot shirtless elf man, unfortunately. It's a healer. So now they're a group of 4. Once again, I loved it. I really, really love this manga. It's fantastic. It had me laughing and cheering them on. I would say read it if you like masking manner, fields of flowers, and pervs. I am still continuing on with Soldier Sailor, and I am going to the library today to pick up some books, so I might add something from there to this reading blog. I'm going to head out as well to the thrift shop because I forgot to donate the bag of items that I was going to donate. So I'm going to go to another charity shop, drop off my stuff, see if there's anything there to grab. And I think that's basically it. I'm just going to film a TBR for my Patreon as well. But otherwise, yeah, I'm staying home. It's going to be another, it's 38, I believe. So once again, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. On the weekend, we're pushing in the 40s. So we're not doing well. We're not sleeping at nighttime. I haven't slept in a couple days now. Like I said, the house is just so hot that it's hard not to drip in sweat. I've just cooled this room down quickly. We're in the lounge room, which has an aircon, thank God, before filming, and I've turned it off so I can film, but the temperature's already rising. So that's what's on the agenda today. I was just watching Emily Fox, who's one of my faves, got a massive crush on her, and she was saying, what's the minimum amount of makeup you put on to put together to not look like you're dying? For me, I would say the absolute minimum would be mascara. I think the eyes are very emotive, and mascara really opens them up and frames them well. Otherwise, for me, yeah, it's mascara and lip gloss. That is the minimum. That's what I do if I'm heading out the house, which I am today. I just put mascara and lip gloss on, and I feel much more presentable. I do obviously go out without makeup on as well, but I would say I would be less likely to engage in a conversation with a stranger if I'm going with zero makeup than if I just put mascara and lip gloss on. It just makes me feel a lot more friendly and approachable and open to conversation because I don't feel like I look like a house troll. So that's my minimum. But yes, I'll see you guys when I have finished 2 more books. Okay, I'm back. I did get some goodies at the thrift store, but I showed that in my Patreon vlog, but I did pick up a book from the library. This is called Cosmic Self-Care, and it's by Katie Huang. And yeah, I just thought I'd see what it's about. It's got lovely images inside. It seems to be astrology focused, so I will be including that in this mood reading vlog.
These 2 honeys are always taking naps together, aren't you, Baba? Hey, Sylvie and Blue. When you open your pomegranate and expect blood, but it's dry as F. Oh, I'm sorry. The flash came on automatically.
I have read Cosmic Self-Care by Katie Huang and illustrated by Fee Johnson. So once again, the illustrations in this are really darling. It is a book that contains self-care and magic rituals for the festivals, zodiac signs, seasons, and moon phases. I think it's fantastic for a novice or a beginner wanting to dip their toe into the spiritual, magical pool. For me, it's nothing new. It's a bit old hat. A lot of the rituals contain things like crystals, matches, and affirmations. But yeah, if you're a newbie and you want to do something a little bit woo-woo and you want to know what to practice when, then this is a very easy to read, beautifully illustrated, simple guide. I've almost finished Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy, so I will finish that today and update you on that tomorrow and finish off this vlog. I am going thrift shopping today. I planned to hit a lot of stores, but my eldest said she's not feeling super well. and she might come home, so I am going to have to stay close by just in case I get that phone call. But yeah, I've decided to try and visit almost every op shop in Melbourne and then narrow it down to my top 3 just in case anybody asks me what are the best op shops in Melbourne. I'll be able to tell you. So I'll see you guys when I've got the last book. Okay, more successful. I grabbed a book from there, so okay, I'm back. Some of the stores were duds, some were winners. Out of all the ones I visited today, one of them will be a return to. So I found one that I will keep on my list of places. So I'll show you what I got. So obviously I'm in a grandma floral porcelain mood. So I've got another plate, which was $8. So this was the most expensive item. And then let's go on to the books. So I grabbed Temporary by Hilary Leichter because I'm actually going to be reading this in a very far upcoming reading vlog. And this was $1 and it's in really good condition. And then I got 2 other books. So I grabbed Utopian Man by Lisa Lang. So I read this, I want to say 15 years ago, and I rated it highly. And I was just like, why did I love it so much? I think it was about a man in Melbourne in the 1880s. So I just want to give it another go. It was only $2 and I want to say, is it still something I really like? Or was it just a random, at that time, kind of book? And then I've got the Book of the Unnamed Midwife by Meg Allison, which I also got for $2 because this is on my TBR. So I'm very happy to actually have found some books that were on my TBR. Can't see Nova, but if you have cats, I highly recommend these window suction things. They absolutely love taking naps in the window. Isn't that right, babes? Isn't that right, babes? My little void. There you are. I love you, Nova. Okay, guys, we're here to do the final book. So the final book that I read for my mood reading, which was the choice for the Ben Reads Good Readathon. Hey, Sylvie. Sylvie Sky. Was Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy. I would kill for you. I would die for you. This book excellently documents the struggles of early motherhood, marriage, and personhood, the highs and the lows, the agony and the bliss. It's a beautifully written letter from a mother soldier to her child sailor. All this love has to go somewhere. I would say that this book is an intense, emotional roller coaster. Soldier, who seems to have postpartum depression, is in the trenches and barely making it through each day. She's carrying the load and breaking beneath it. I have to say, check the trigger warnings because this leans more heavily on the darker days of motherhood and marriage. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done. And even though I listened to this on audiobook, there were so many phrases that I had to stop and write down, and normally with audiobooks I don't really bother to do that, but in this case I felt obligated. Read it if you like emotional stories about motherhood, losing yourself, and Superman capes. So let me quickly go through all of the books I read in this reading vlog in order from least enjoyment to most enjoyment. And sorry, I know this is probably really distracting with Sylvie's purring and me patting her, but I can't resist. Middle Youth by Morgan Bach, and this wins the award for mentions of all things volcanic. Cosmic Self-Care by Katie Huang wins the award for easing spiritual virgins into a magical practice. Wild Children by Tom Bolton wins the award for reminding oneself to keep a bit of their wildness. Beetle and the Hollowbones by Alyssa Lane wins the award for heartwarming Halloween hues. Dyscalculia by Kimone Felix wins the award for being about more than just heartbreak. Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy wins the award for mother struggles. Frieren 3 by Kanehito Yamada wins the award for a collection of pervs. And my favourite book of this reading vlog was The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez, which was a 5-star read. And this wins the award for being a reminder for ladies to put socks on their baseball bats. Those were all the books I read for this reading vlog. Until next time, stay wild, Star Child.